Today we're going to make Maitake mushroom steak. I promise it's going to be amazing. We're going to serve it with polenta and some zucchini noodles. The best part about this is that it's quick and easy, sort of fancy plant-based gourmet. So at the very beginning, you're just going to place the polenta out of the package, slice it into little medallions, and put that onto a nonstick pan with no oil. Next step is going to be to peel your zucchini using a peeler. And then we're going to dice one shallot into kind of small pieces. The size isn't totally relevant. Kind of how you like it is the way you can do it best. I like shallot because it adds just a little bit of pungency. This is the Maitake mushroom itself. It grows around trees in the northeastern regions of the United States. It's also called hen of the woods. It makes a great steak. It's well known in Japanese cooking, and you can kind of see it all over the world now with vegan cooking. I kind of love this process of pulling it apart. There's so much texture, and you can cook them whole or you can pull them apart like this. Either way is fine. At the end of the day, it's going to kind of depend on your personal preference. I kind of like to do them almost like a pulled pork, forgive me, but that's kind of how I think about it once it's cooked. So I take a little bit of time to pull apart the mushroom here, and I really enjoy that exercise. It's very meditative for me. Our next step is we're going to actually go ahead and cook the mushroom. So there's a couple of different strategies around this. I tend to saute the shallots a little bit and then add the maitake to that. So you can see that's kind of what I'm doing here. Shake it around a bit. Now, to add some additional flavor and to expedite the cooking, I like to make a little bit of marinade. In this one, I'm using umeboshi plum and a little bit of freshly made soy sauce from the local farmer's market. I'm going to mix this around. You could add a little bit of pepper or Chinese 5-spice to this, a little bit of water so that it's just a bit easier to function as a marinade. And once they've been cooking a little bit and the pan is hot, I love to pour that on and the sauce just jumps right onto the mushroom. It's so good. The house smells so good when this is cooking. It's really super and fantastic. Some people use cast iron skillet and mush it with another cast iron skillet, but either way, our next step is we're going to let that saute for a little bit to let things cook. And while that's happening, I'm going to slice up some fresh baby kale that I got from the farmer's market. And I kind of use this almost like fresh herbs. It's a little bit less expensive, and especially when I don't have any extra around. And you can see that big pile of zucchini noodles or zoodles off to the side. And I kind of just roughly chop this, and again, watching your fingers, tucking them under. And you can see here now the maitake is done. It looks fantastic. It's crispy. This might have been a little saltier than ideally, but again, it was so tasty. I could hardly be too troubled by that. There's lots of ways you could use this once it's cooked, but in this dish, I'm going to serve it over the polenta and with the noodles. And it really just adds this wonderful flavor. So if it's a little bit saltier, that's okay because the flavor is going to get mixed in. I rinsed my nonstick pan off and threw in the zucchini. And this is definitely a stage that has a lot of flexibility. There's so many different elements that you could do for this. So I just wanted to point out the size, the shape. We had a monstrous, like huge zucchini that I was using. So again, the pasta shape will be dependent on that. And it does cook down a lot. You can see here I've added the kale, and now I'm going to work on the sort of sauce, if you will, and this is going to be a tahini and lemon. I've already squeezed the lemon juice in, and now I put a little bit of water, and it does take a little bit of time to whisk this together. I like to keep the consistency on the thin side, so depending on how much, this is 2 tablespoons lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of tahini, and a half cup of water. And you can see, I like, as opposed to making a sort of large mess, I'll sort of start slowly, gently sort of whisking in the tahini. A sort of deeper container or a blender would have also worked okay here. And I'm just going to mix it up until it reaches the nice consistency that I think will coat the pasta, if you will, really nicely. It kind of is a vegan Alfredo alternative. Again, if you had another Alfredo recipe, you could sub that in here. You can see that the polenta is totally done. It's beautiful, it's crispy. I have what my husband calls kitchen fingers, so this is going into the bowl and it's quite warm, but you could use tongs for this as well. And I haven't used any oil to crisp up the polenta either. So again, just a reminder that polenta can cook beautifully without any oil. You can also bake it. And you can see here, I'm really tempted to start taking samples as I go, but little by little. The last step here is we're just now finishing up with the zucchini, and you can cook it as long as you want. This was for about 2 to 3 minutes. So this video in total is about 6 minutes. This meal in total probably took about 20 minutes to put together. So I wanted to show a quick and easy vegan gourmet meal. I took the zucchini off and then reduced the sauce, the tahini sauce that was left, because some of the zucchini water came out in cooking. And then I strained that just because there was some fresh herbs in there that I didn't want to put into the final sauce. I did a little bit of arranging, as is generally something I enjoy doing. Now, if you have access to some fresh garnishes like fresh herbs, parsley, cilantro, you could add that now. I had a couple of wonderful fresh edible flower petals that I thought would be really pretty to put on top. And again, this is really fun. You can mash this up now. You could put this into a burrito, a taco, or a wrap. It kind of has that pulled meat alternative feel, and it's absolutely delicious. I hope you enjoy.